I'll probably do a double day again today. It feels bad doing only 4 hours in this game because you just don't get very far in 4 hours. Like, if you do hunts, then you don't really have time to do story, and if you do story, then you don't really have time to do hunts. Everything takes so long. And like I said before, Reunion comes out in 2 weeks, and then we're not doing any double days for a while. Well, I shouldn't say a while, but at least a week or two. So it's a good time to do them. So maybe we'll try the ghost real quick and then move on with the story. Can I get over there from here? Run, boys. Forget the high potions. Better question is, why are you micromanaging me so much? I'm just running to the save point. I don't need to change my party. I just want to watch Balthair's swiggity swoogity run. Is that so wrong? We'll see. It depends on like how hard I want to go in post-game. But yeah, if I do the entirety of 12, all the grinding, all the post-game, everything, it probably will be the longest. Probably by far, honestly. Which is another reason why I'm trying to do double days as much as I can. But I'm okay with that. As long as it's fun, I do not care how long it takes. I don't see any reason to rush. But at the same time, I don't want to be playing Final Fantasy XII until like 2025, so the double days help with that. Red cap. Yeah, sure, why not? You're supposed to be tank. Alright. Let's go toaster. If I end up liking 14, I'll probably keep playing it. Not for Fantathon, but if I really like 14, I'm not going to do the main thing for Fantathon and then delete it and never play it again. But for Fantathon, we'll probably just do the initial grind and story and whatnot, like we did with 11. Didn't really get much, did I? A nomadic! Think of the 15. I mean, you're talking to the MMO idiot here, but I feel like with MMOs you kind of have to play them to understand them. It's hard to kind of just watch and get it. We come to slay Ixtab. Ho! I have lived many years, yet fate never fails to surprise me. Ixtab is an evil spirit, as frightful as fear itself. It smells the warm blood of men and attacks without warning or hesitation. Many who I know have already fallen to this fiend, great warriors all. I will not lie, this is the most dangerous foe. Then I am in your debt, yet you must not fight that which you are unable to defeat. Should you sense your life is in peril, flee at once. Ixtab can be found in the Hen Mines. Enter from Osmone Plain, and beyond a junction near the Phase 1 shaft, you shall find it. May the spirits of Limter. Is anyone charismatic? Welcome. Enjoy the sub. Might be faster. Nah. I was gonna say it might be faster to teleport to the jungle, but I don't think so. Yeah, I've heard a lot about 14's story. Definitely excited for that. I don't want to say, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to compare MMO stories with regular stories. Even if it's really good, I think I just connect more with single-player experiences. And I think it's because, me personally, I connect way more with characters than events, as I've said before. So, like, you get these really great character studies in single-player experiences, something like Sephiroth, where you can, like, follow him and watch him go insane and see all his dialogue and be friends with him before he's an enemy and really peer inside his mind and understand his reasons for doing things. And with MMOs, it seems like it's hard to do that same thing. It's not impossible, but because you're a character among a million other characters, you're more of on the sidelines watching the characters do their thing. I don't know, it's just not the same. But not saying it can't be done, obviously. With the right writing, anything's good. Well, I'm just being silly. Sephiroth's one of the most iconic villains of all time, I don't think. Even if 14 has good villains, it doesn't make Sephiroth any worse. There's enjoying a game and thinking that it's good, and then there's saying that every other game is trash because it's good. One is better than the other. There's no need to hold your favorite game in such high regard that nothing else matters. Oh man, I need the frickin' chocobo. That's it. Is there? There's not a teleport in the mines, is there? Oh, I could just take that. Yeah, but the door might be closed. Ah. Frickin' mines. How's it going, Mango? I mean, no, that's not what he's really saying. He's not, like, literally saying Sephiroth is bad because 14 exists. He was just exaggerating by saying, like, 14 is so good that Sephiroth looks bad in comparison because it's just so good. It's like he wasn't actually trashing Final Fantasy VII, but I just think that's a little... At that point, you just kind of sound like a fanboy of 14 that only likes 14 and doesn't like any other video games, which just kind of makes your point sound more moot. No game is so good that it makes other games seem bad in comparison. Like, everyone likes different games for different reasons. How's it going, Doug? Well, see, that's the inherent problem with Final Fantasy X-2. Some people played it and thought, well, Final Fantasy's gone downhill. And although they weren't exactly wrong, X-2 isn't exactly like the best way to look at the whole series, like it was a side game. I mean, like, playing X-2 and saying Final Fantasy sucks now is kind of the equivalent is like playing Dirge and being like, well, 8 and 9 suck. Like, I never played 8 and 9 because I played Dirge and it was terrible. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a side game, and X-2 is, like, specifically fan service and nothing else. Having said that, though, it did kind of go downhill after 10. But this is a great game. I can oh, man, the stupid Chocobo thing is, like, over here. Yeah, no, I feel you, though. Like, I kind of felt the same way. The only reason I bought 12 was because 10 is my third favorite game of all time. So, like, and then 11 I couldn't play. So 12 was the next after 10 for me, so of course I was going to buy it and play it. And I really loved 12. But even though I loved it, I did feel like the game, you know, Final Fantasy had changed so much. I wasn't really a fan of how Final Fantasy was changing, but in a vacuum, I still did like this game. That makes sense. It's funny, I think I was more open-minded as a kid in some ways. Because a lot of times, the game I had was the only game I had to play. So I was willing to put up with more garbage. Don't you feel like Final Fantasy is always ever changing now that you've played most of Fantathon? So the thing with me is that with Final Fantasy, the thing that originally hooked me to Final Fantasy was the main premise of a bunch of random people coming together to save the world. I always thought that was the coolest premise. And although some of the games I liked more than others, as long as it had that general premise, I felt like I could still feel connected to it. So when it fell off for me is when it stopped being that. Which this game is kind of the beginning of that. Because although we are kind of a random hodgepodge, we're not exactly a random hodgepodge. It's more of a group of duos. You have Penelo and Vaughn, and then you have Fran and Balthier, and then you have Ash and Bosch. So you kind of have like 3 duos, and then guests that come in and out. which is fine, but it is a bit different. He said phase 1. Okay, but which way? And then 13, I don't know. 13's complicated. But to be fair, I still enjoyed 13 when it came out. And 15 is where I truly fell off the wagon. And it wasn't just for that, but 15 definitely was the start of, like, really ditching that premise completely. I don't know how to get over there. Oh, I guess we have to go all the way around. Well, wait, there's a button here. Okay. I'm looking for a big... Oh, no, wait, no. We're looking for a ghost. Ghosty ghost. So, I don't know which way the ghost is. Start this way, I guess. Let's go and see Mark. Doing good. Oh, it's about to be a slaughter. Boom, 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 boom. But yeah, you know, to answer the question, I do feel like Final Fantasy has always been the series that Square likes to push the boundaries with. They don't just... they don't just do the same thing over and over, and they don't even really care much about preserving Final Fantasy as like a specific thematic series. Final Fantasy is more of, this is the best game we can make at this current time, and then we're going to put some chocobos in it. So the first couple of years, it was like, yeah, they all felt the same. They all felt like a congruent series, but then as it went further and further, they were trying to push the limit of what they could do. That's why, like, 7 was a very, like, rustic and realistic type game, because they could finally achieve that. They didn't care that 7 looked nothing like 6. They just wanted it to be the best game they could make. And that continues on into all the rest of the games. Once they finally felt like they could do a really good open world game, they made Final Fantasy XV, and they didn't look back. Once they felt like they could master the MMO, they made an MMO. They didn't care that it was not on, like, you know, the fact that Final Fantasy XI is called Final Fantasy XI is very telling. They didn't care that it was nothing like any of the other games. It was the best game they could make currently, so they called it Final Fantasy XI. They never really cared about it all being a consistent thing. I was talking yesterday to someone about, like, what's Final Fantasy XVII gonna be like, and I honestly think that it's gonna probably continue to be really different. It's cool that they're going back to, like, Crystal stories for 16, but I don't think that means, like, all the rest of the Final Fantasies are gonna return back to OG form. I think 17 is gonna be whatever they want to make. If they want to make a frickin' kart racer the next Final Fantasy, that's what they'll do. I mean, I think it's always going to be an RPG of some sort, but you know what I mean. Like, they'll go as crazy as they think they can go. Like, if they... whatever game they want to make, that's what they'll make. If they want to make a space opera, then that's what they'll do. I mean, just look at 16. Although the story is going back to kind of the crystal... Oh, there he is. The crystal style. The gameplay is like freaking Devil May Cry, so... You know, they looked at Yoshi and they were like, you want to make a Devil May Cry? And he was like, I'm in. And that was that. Like, they don't care that it's not a typical RPG. They don't care that it doesn't follow the general standard of Final Fantasy. They just want to make the best game they can make. Which in some ways is good, and in other ways is kind of annoying. But we're up to 17. They can't just keep making turn-based RPGs, you know? I mean, they could, but they have other series for that. Got him. Alright, that one went well. Like, I think it would have been fine if the main Final Fantasy series stuck to specifically turn-based RPGs. And that's it. They never made Final Fantasy XI. They never made 12 or 13. Like, they stuck to just specific, you know, like Final Fantasy X was just the way of the future, and they just did that forever. I think that would have been fine, but I don't think it's wrong that they decided to change Final Fantasy into something else. Now, what was wrong was them coming out and saying turn-based RPGs are out of date. That's just silly, and I still hate that they did that. Granted, it was only one guy that said it, but it kind of gave me this mentality that Square always has made turn-based RPGs just for people that'll buy them and not because they want to make them. They were kind of just like, fine, we'll make them. Instead of being like, let's make a turn-based RPG for those that love them, and then we're going to take Final Fantasy down this different road. Instead, it always felt like they never wanted to make turn-based RPGs, and they just did back in the day because they had to, and the second they could make regular RPGs, they did. You know what I mean? It feels like it was only ever because the hardware didn't allow them to. Which is a shame. And it will always make me laugh that Persona 5 did so well when it did so well. It was like right when the remake was being made and everyone was like, why isn't it turn-based? And they were like, trust us, turn-based sucks. And then Persona came out and everyone was like... It just makes me laugh. But yeah, you know, I don't think... I don't hate Square for not making every Final Fantasy turn-based. I think they got to 10, and they were burnt out from turn-based, and they were like, we want to do something different. And we want to do it with the Final Fantasy name. We don't want to cheat out and make it another series. We want to make Final Fantasy this, and that's fine. And they did make other turn-based RPGs after that. So they're not completely dead in Square Enix's eyes, but... My main gripe is just thematically, I feel like Final Fantasy is too far away to even be called a Final Fantasy. I feel like at this point it's called Final Fantasy because it'll sell, not because it really fits in the series. It's a Square Enix RPG, call it Final Fantasy. Especially when it comes to 15, but we'll get to that when we get there. Just you wait. Just you wait. It will be a very colorful series. Let's play Final Fantasy 15. Do we have to? Can I even get back? Because I don't have a chocobo. Do I have to go through the mines to get to the crystal? Oh, wait. My chocobo's chilling. I'm stuck up here. Please help. My boy! This chocobo has been separated from its friends. So they just put this chocobo here so you don't get soft locked. That's kind of nice. Can we just miss 15? Oh no. After me having to put up with everyone dissing the games I liked, which really didn't happen that often, but you guys got to diss the ones that you didn't like. 15 is my turn. Eddie, thank you so much for the 4 months. 15 is my turn to just let loose. And to be fair, there's parts of 15 I do like. I'm more against the idea of 15 than I am the actual game. There's a lot I don't like about the game also, but... No, 15 is bad and will always be bad just because of the way it was made. In a vacuum, it's tolerable. But I will always dislike everything surrounding it more than the game itself. I mean, I'd go as far as to say 15 has glimmers of brilliance. But if somebody punches you in the face and then gives you a cookie, you'll be happy for the cookie, but you're still not going to enjoy the punch to the face. And that's pretty much the best metaphor I can give for 15. A punch in the face followed by a cookie. A single cookie with like 2 chocolate chips in it. No, terrible idea. Executed okay. Wow. That's a crappy reward. Alright. Let's go do the thing we're supposed to do. Actually, let's go to that optional area and figure out what that was about. I mean, that's what I wanted to say, Flare, but I was being nice. What was it called? This. It's really... Final Fantasy 15 reminds me a lot of the new Pokemon games. Now, 15 wasn't broken on release, thankfully. But it has this same, like, frustration where this is your main series. It's not really, like, necessarily your moneymaker. Like, sometimes it is. But it's more about your brand. Square Enix's brand is Final Fantasy. People look at the Final Fantasy games and go, these games are good, therefore Square Enix is good. And then they go buy the other Square Enix products, and that's where Square Enix makes their money. In the same way with Pokemon. Pokemon, you know, Nintendo and Pokemon Company, it's all about Pokemon. The games are just good. Where they make their true money is the unbelievable amount of Pokemon merchandise and everything else that surrounds Pokemon. All they have to do is make good Pokemon games, and all the rest of everything will pay off. And instead, they rush it. And I can't understand why. I know investors and blah, blah, but you can't just say investors and then everyone's like, oh, that's why. Like, that's not a good excuse. The investors should know the same thing that we know. That if the game is baked longer to the point where it's good, you make 20 times that through everything else surrounding it, especially with Pokemon. With Final Fantasy, you can understand, like, you know, Final Fantasy merchandise isn't as popular. It's not as much about that. Granted, you have 14, where, like, as long as you make good Final Fantasy games, you're going to get more people invested in Final Fantasy, who are in turn going to get invested in Final Fantasy 14, and then that's where you make your money, right? So you can't just tell me, oh, well, the investors wanted it released. Like, that's just not a good enough excuse. They knew that all they needed to do was make a good Pokemon game, and they would have made their money back 100 times. But instead, they push it out unfinished, and I just can't imagine a scenario where that makes them money. Like, you know, and I see all the arguments online, well, it was just for money. No, that's not an excuse. You're losing money doing this. Not to mention all the people that got refunds, but, you know, that's not an excuse just to say, well, they released it because money. Because they're losing money doing that. There's no reason why they shouldn't have tested Scarlet and Violet, realized it was garbage, and then postponed it. There's no reason. You cannot tell me it was for money. And I feel the same way with 15. With 15, there was more behind it. There was, like, cup noodle sponsorship and movie, and there were a lot of people in the basket. So, like, they filmed and they created the movie, and there were people behind that, and they did the cup noodle sponsorship, and there was people behind that, and so the game had to release within a window that fit all of that, and I get that. And to their credit, it was not broken, but pushing all of that back to create a Final Fantasy experience that was worthy of the series would have done so much more for the movie, would have done so much more for the cup noodle sponsorship. You see what I'm saying? Like, the movie itself would have sold better if the game was good. The cup noodle sponsorship would have seen more returns if the game was really good. You know, it all comes back to, like, if the game's good, it will reward you in the future. And especially if it's your mainline series, if it's the series that people know you for. People know Square Enix for Final Fantasy. So I just refuse to believe that releasing it bad somehow makes the investors happy or makes them more money. It just doesn't. It just does not do that. If anything, it just loses them money. And if you want to make the argument with Final Fantasy 15, fine, but I surely don't see the argument for Pokemon. Like, no frickin' way. There's no way they make more money releasing Scarlet and Violet, a broken mess, and get memed on for an entire month over the entire gaming community. Memes on them for a whole month. You can't tell me the investors are happy about that. Like, the investors are like, thank God we sent it out when we did. Like, no, they're probably even more angry. They're probably paging Nintendo like, what'd you do? You know? And there's way more going on in the background, and it's all about timing with other things, but I'm just sick of this excuse where it's like, they released it early because money. It's like, that's just not a good excuse. It's not, there's more to it than that. But Pokemon is so pushed by everything around the games that I just see no reason to release a broken main Pokemon game. That just seems ridiculous. And we know why games are released broken. It's because they know they can do it. Like, EA has already come out multiple times and said, like, we release broken games because they still make money. But I just, you can't tell me they made more money with Pokemon. When it's a one-off thing, like a sports game, then yeah, release it broken. People will still buy it, you'll still make your money. That makes sense to me. Pokemon doesn't make sense to me. Final Fantasy XV doesn't make sense to me. Not when they had like 19 mobile games, a movie, and sponsorships. Because all that stuff failed. It was like a downward spiral where, because the game wasn't as good as everyone thought it was going to be, everything around the game faltered as well. They even made that stupid VR fishing game that would have, like, done better had the game been better. And to be fair, 15 actually did sell really well, but not as good as 14, that's for sure. Not as good as 13. "13 got 2 sequels. 15 barely got its DLC completed." What does that tell you? Yeah, it's just sad. That's true. The 14... First 14 was awful, but then they fixed it. But no, it's just... It's sad where the gaming industry is now, where even a company's flagship franchise, they don't need to make good. They just need to make every game profitable in its own vacuum. Nobody cares about looking good or being the best or making their fans happy. None of that matters. It's just make a game that makes more money than it costs to make. And if you can do that, screw the fans. And that sounds like, you know, a bit harsh, but it's literally true. That's exactly what they have pretty much been saying the last couple of years. If you read any of the things from, like, people that have quit some of these companies, that's what they all say. And it's all compounded with the other issues with the industry, like the patch it later syndrome, all the allegations for the people, the higher-ups at these companies. Like, it's all just compounding into this really awful look for the whole industry. Friend. It's tough because we still want to support our favorite series. And of course, we want to play the games as well, but... like I've said before, the gaming industry is just so different. Sir... go that way. The gaming industry is such a different industry where, like, they can make the worst broken thing ever and everyone will still buy it because A, it's part of a series that they're following, or B, they want to see how bad it is. And that just isn't something that really exists with any other industry. Kind of the movie industry, but not really. But they have everyone stuck in this loop where we have to kind of play our favorite games no matter what. And we have to support them kind of no matter what. Can we kill this thing now, I wonder? And you know, you have people that buy the game, call it bad, and then return it. And then you have the people that, if it says Fallout on it, they will brutally massacre anyone that says anything bad about it, even if it's awful. You just go on Twitter and... ow, Vaughn is healing him. Can survive, but I can't do any damage to him. Even my thunder, that's supposed to be his weakness, is doing nothing. He doesn't have shell. Wait, is my thunder even doing damage? No, it's not. Only Fran is doing damage. What the heck? I don't know why I can't do any damage to this thing. It's like on my level, I think. Ow! Fran, why you do this? Oh, good luck, Hitman. I know this time's really, really rough for drivers of all kinds. We're all pretty cold. Ash, Vaughn, and Fran must be pretty cold. No, don't attack the... don't attack those. I hear something stomping. How do I get... It's not up there, is it? It might be up there. I thought I had to go further east, because, like, on the world map, it's like a huge There's like a huge gap, but I think I actually just have to go up. An alligator? Big croc. I always like to look at Pokemon Arceus. There was like a bunch of open world Pokemon games that looked amazing, and Nintendo shut them all down, and then they were finally like... Everyone was like, they're probably shutting down the open world games because they're making their own, but they never did. And then finally, Pokemon was like, we're doing it. We're gonna make our own open world game. Pokemon Arceus, and it's gonna be like... It's gonna be like all those games you guys have been making, but so much better, and then it came out and it was okay. It's like, how did you shut down all of these projects for so many years and then make something that's like pretty mid in comparison? And how did all these fans make things that are like way better than what you make? I mean, I get it with like remasters. So a lot of people like to point out that a lot of the mods that people make, like the definitive mod that I made for 7, or some of the mods for 8, or some of the mods for 9, they're basically like better versions of a remaster of those games. Like the Steam ports were just, let's put it on PC, and then the mods actually made them like better. And people like to point at that and be like, why can't Square do that? But I kind of get it for those, because they don't really care about those being good. They just want it to be available to more people because money. So like people that won't go out, and they don't make money off of Final Fantasy IX discs anymore, so they put it on Steam so they can make money on it forever. They're not really trying to make the game better. But for something like Pokemon Arceus, it's like, you could have made that the dream game for all those people that followed those open world mods. Instead, it was... I mean, say what you want about Arceus, some people really liked it, but I think it's fair to say it was the B team working on it. The graphics were like meh, and it was not the biggest game ever. Like, there were games made by smaller studios that were bigger and looked better on Switch at the time. It was not their main focus, you know? I think it's safe to say that. So it's a shame. And that was another game where it was like a secret until it was almost out, and no one was waiting for Arceus. They thought that they would never make an open world Pokemon. So there was no reason for that to be rushed. And I wouldn't say it was necessarily rushed, but they could have waited longer to release it and made it bigger and better and look better and everything and perform better. It was no Cyberpunk 2077, that's for sure. People were not emailing Nintendo being like, where is it, where is it, where is it? No one knew it was even a thing for the longest time. Yeah, like the very first trailer, they were like, it's releasing in a couple months or whatever. It's like, you didn't have to do that. It could have been a brand new Pokemon series that branched off into its own thing. Reminds me of like Mega Man Network. It could have been a whole huge thing. I'm kind of annoyed that it was right here the whole time. That definitely did not look like 3 screens of walking to the right. I thought I had to go way more east. Is there? Oh, he didn't spawn in yet. I could buy more of these and use them on the... Well, I guess I beat him though, didn't I? Immune sleep wouldn't be the worst thing ever to have. Ooh, I kind of want this. Oh, he has haste. And aura spells. This was the other reason why I wanted to go forward in the story a bit, because I was hoping to get a new town. This isn't a town, but it's... what we wanted. Gravity... float... I know float's really useful. Curaga. Oh, these hit all enemies too? I wonder if they even do more damage. Guess I'll try one. See how it goes. Haste is what I really want. Toxify would also be nice. Let's see what this guy has. Mostly the same stuff the other guy did. On hit Ronald. It's kind of cool. Ninja sword. Ooh. Problem is, that doesn't do much more damage than its element, which can be annoying. What the heck is that thing? Hand bomb. It'd be kind of cool to have this and just go around whacking my teammates. It would help save on some MP. Enchanter's Habit. That'd be good for Vaughn. He still only has like a basic shield. Also, I need to give you the ice brand again. Oh, you're gonna have the full ice setup. Ice brand, ice shield. If I can find the shield. Nice. Do you have a license for that, sandwich man? Stop. You're under arrest. Slaps the sandwich out of your hands. Okay, I like the healing rod, but it lowers my magic power by a little bit. But it gives me a lot more max MP. So, feel like it's worth. I can't attack anymore, though. I'm gonna forget and attack the first thing I see, watch. Just you wait. It's gonna happen. Did I get, I didn't get it yet, did I? I need to come back and get decoy. Especially with this healing rod now. You have what you need for the aura spells. I need to get further in to these abilities, because I remember some of these abilities being good. Or techniques. Like Poach is probably good to have. But I think some of these might even give like MP and stuff. I should probably check those out at some point. I thought that said kites for a second. Have we heard this song already? I feel like we have. Was this just the ice area song? Yeah, we'll do a double day today. I'll break here in a bit. Once we get a little story going on. Final Fantasy XII really likes its cutscenes. I mean, this game is a marvel that the scope of the world plus all these rendered cutscenes all fit on one PS2 disc. I would definitely say this is one of the supreme examples of what the PS2 could do. Too bad they talked into soup cans. Yeah, I often have to like double take in my head when I say PS2. I almost want to say PS3. Another game I do that with is Shadow of Colossus. Vaughn is here to screw everything up. Do not worry. We have arrived. Hello?
Is he sleeping?
No, my child.
Whoa.
I do not sleep. I dream.
That's
For reality
part of
and
sleeping.
illusion are a duality. two parts of a whole.
Okay.
Only the mirror of dreams reflects what is true.
Anastasis, Your Grace. I am
Lay
Ashelia.
down your words. Ashelia, daughter of Ramanas, I have dreamt your dream.
But without sleeping.
Who better to carry on the Dalmascan line than she who bears the Dawn Shard? Your dream of a kingdom restored is known to me.
Grand Kiltius, then give us your blessing. Grant the Lady Ashe her accession
I do not
to the...
suppose this is something you might reconsider. My little Emperor-in-waiting. You called and I have come.
This is the man I wanted you to meet. Believe it or not, he is a member of the noble house Margrace, rulers of the Rosarian Empire.
I am but one of very, very many. Try as I might, I could not stop this war alone. Thus, I came seeking Lars's assistance. Alcide Margrace, at your service. To think I stand before the Lady Ashe, it is truly an honor.
What's Pinello doing?
After all, stunning is Dalmasca's desert bloom.
He kissed her hand in this medieval time period. I'm shocked.
In Arcadia, Larsa. In Rosaria, Alcid. They dream not of war. Should empire join with empire, the way will open for a new Evilis in our time.
Grand Kiltius, you speak much of dreams, but in the real world, war is upon us.
Grand Kiltius, I was told my coming here would prevent this war. I was to assume my father's throne and announce the restoration of Dalmasca, treat with the Empire for peace, and persuade the Resistance to stay their hand. I have not come all this way to be asked to reconsider.
A word from you and the Resistance would stop cold, and Rosaria's pretext for joining the war scattered off to the four winds. This was what we had hoped. Alas, circumstances change. A full 2 years have passed since your reported death. Were it to become known you are still alive, I fear it could only worsen our current situation.
How do people not know
Because
at this
I am
point?
powerless to help.
Nay, in fact it has little to do with you.
Then what? If Lady Ashe were to extend her hand in friendship, perhaps I could then persuade the Emperor. His Excellency will solve things peacefully.
The Emperor Gramis is no more. His life was taken.
Father.
So we're not going to talk about how Larso is just like straight up wrong. Blame him for everything.
What possible cause could we have to lay hand on our Emperor?
A deception and an outrage. The Senate will not stand for this.
A viper amongst our senators?
With Chairman Gregoroth as its head. With what dignity remained him, he confessed to the poisoning and passed his own
A
sentence.
viper with many tails. Much of the Senate is culpable.
We had no choice but to strip the Senate of authority and assign powers of autocracy to myself until such time as order...
Spare me your lies! I see the serpent coiled here before me!
Trace, you speak too freely.
Zargabath! Do not tell me you join in this mama's farce!
With Rosaria poised to invade at any moment, our leader must have a free hand.
They took their helmets off, that means they're mad.
The once great House Solidor is now reduced to myself and my dear brother Larsa.
Surely you would not go so far. Vain Solidor! As Judge Magister and upholder of the law, I hereby place you under arrest.
That'll work.
You misunderstand. Vane did not make himself autocrat. It was the very Ministry of Law which you serve. Do you see it now, Drace? When you bared your sword at His Excellency, you bared your sword at the law.
You wear the mummer's motley well, Bergen.
Yeah, that'll work. Like, what's her plan, honestly?
Such strength. Inhuman.
Zargabath, take the Alexander. You will accompany Bergen and bring Larsa back to me.
Sire. Your Excellency, Lord Larsa was placed under my charge.
Oh? Perhaps you mistook your orders then. I can see no other explanation for why you were reporting and conjecturing on my doings to my late father.
Your Excellency.
A hound begging for scraps at the Emperor's table. Would you serve another master, Hound? You may fulfill your duty as Judge Magister before us all. She has been tried and found guilty.
Your Excellency, I beg you reconsider.
Yeah, I think it was a fair trial. I mean, she did pull her sword out at you. Okay, doing it this slowly isn't, like, gonna...
Do it. I care not. Live, Gabranth. Protect the young lord. Protect Larsa.
Forgive me.
Okay, see ya.
Pray be quick.
This is awkward out of context. He didn't even, like, move his arm. he just made a noise. So, taking that long to kill her, I don't feel like is turning any heads. Like, oh yeah, he's definitely on our side. Like, I feel like they're just as suspicious of him as they were before. I don't think that did him any favors. But whatever.
Let us suppose you approach the Empire with a peaceful resolution.
I did not notice how tall Sid
The late
is.
Emperor Gramis would have lent you his ear, that much is certain. But we are dealing with vain Solidor. Should the princess return, he would claim her an impostor, or to tempt the resistance into battle. Vayne wants this war, that much is certain. As our ill luck would have it, the man is a military genius.
The dreams have told me thus.
No one cares about your
Reveal
dreams.
yourself would imperil us all. I see war, and Vayne's name writ bold on history's page.
Arcadia's banners fly high.
Okay, sorry. He's just repeating what Sid said. Like, this dream guy, I don't like him. Sid says it, and then he's like, wait, the dreams, they're telling me. Everything that Sid just told you is right.
They are making ready for the coming war. According to our latest reports, the Western Armada prepares for war, under Vayne's command, no less. The newly formed 12th Fleet has already been deployed. Oh yes, the Imperial First Fleet stands ready. They'll be underway as soon as the Odin's refit is complete. And there is more. The 2nd Caravan Expeditionary Force is being called in to replace the missing 8th, so there will be no gaps. The largest force ever seen.
And then, the Nethicite is the coup de grace.
Dream guy, what do we do?
Grace. I spoke to you of my succession. Let us put that aside. Should I become Queen of Dalmasca now, powerless as I am, I can protect nothing. With a greater power at my disposal, perhaps then.
It is the Nethicite of which you dream?
I require something far greater.
To wield power against power. Truly, the words of a human child.
You making fun
I
of me?
am descended from the Dynast King himself.
Indeed. Then you have but one choice. Seek you the other power Wraithwall left.
Does such a thing exist?
Journey across the Paramana Rift to the still shrine of Miriam.
Yeah, I was just there.
There rests the gift he entrusted to the Grand Kiltius of his time. Seek it out. The Sword of Kings can cut through Nethicite. Why he would entrust the power to destroy Nethicite, the instrument of his greatness, to another and not to his own progeny, I cannot say. Awaken Ashelia Benagan and take up your sword, or your dream will remain but a dream.
But you just said dreams are like real or something. What?
My dream too fades into day.
Well, that was another cutscene of a bunch of people standing around talking, but at least we got the cool scene where everyone took their helmets off and then somebody died. We got that at least. Two people died. So why is his name gotta be Alcid instead of just Cid? I mean, I guess they were trying to fit the thing, but I don't know, just call him Cid. He's also not very Cidish. But whatever. We got a Cid. We hit the criteria. Check the box. We got a Cid. Yeah, I don't know. I did not like the beginning of that scene. They once again made Vaughn annoying for 2 seconds just because they're really trying to push that point for some reason. And then there's just so much fluff with the dialogue. It's so annoying. Like the whole first part of that scene could have been like 2 lines, but instead they went back and forth with like their fluffy talk of becoming queen and oh the dream and the dream of the queen and the queen's dream, and then after the cutscene they were like, okay, forget the queen thing. So it's like, why do we talk about it for so long? What was the point? Just have Cid walk in before that. Yeah, it's just, yeah. I'm not saying it was a bad scene, I'm just giving my thoughts as they're coming to me, but yeah, I just wish the dialogue wasn't so fluffed. And I get that it fits the whole Ivalis thing, but I don't know, it's just too much. It's hard to stay interested when they just go on and on. And then, like, the whole thing after that was basically like, okay, Vayne is attacking. That's really all we needed to know. I don't need to know the names of the fleets and which fleet and whose fleet. Like, they're attacking. Got it. Move on. The war is afoot. I get it. Wasn't there a... Oh. But I mean, it wasn't that bad. Now this sword... I think Ataru was the one that said in the chat, like, how convenient. Like, how convenient that the sword cuts through Nethicite. But I'm wondering if... Oh my god, look at my healing staff. I think it's ginormous. I feel like there's going to be a reason. Like, maybe he made the sword specifically because of Nethicite. He was afraid of, like, the power it had. So he, like, made the sword in case. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. But I guess we'll see. How's it going, Dumbo? It's a very good game. I would recommend giving Zodiac Age a shot. Okay. I guess we'll stop here for a minute. Because we're about to walk into this new area, so it's probably a good time. So let's chill here for a minute. I'll go get my food and whatnot, and then we'll double day action and continue.